Hello everyone, this is Richard Micro Grinder with my hopefully new series that is as yet unnamed, where I review videos submitted to me from people from various poker communities. There's my current student group, there is the Reddit poker community, the Micro Grinder poker community, and the Poker Market poker community, which I'm active in all of them. And I've actually asked people to submit videos to me for me to review. I won't be watching any videos before they start, so you'll be seeing them in the same time as me. I'm going to play them back at double speed for the first video, and if it seems too fast when people are watching them back, I will slow it down for the second video. But I want to try and get through as much of it as I can, and also we'll be stopping and pausing to talk about things. I don't really want someone to submit a 45-minute video, maybe only get 10 or 15 minutes of it done, which can quite often happen when we're pausing. So with that in mind, we'll go ahead and we'll start the video, and yeah, we'll just pause at any particularly interesting junctures when we get to any big hands. We're going to name the tables, table 1, table 2, table 3. And straight away here we've started off on table 3 with a 3-bet from the small blind with a hand like ace 10. Before we continue much further, we'll just stop here, because I'm not really sure what I think about 3-betting these kind of hands from the blinds. I don't think people really know a lot of the time why they're doing it. Is it a bluff? Is it for value? And bearing in mind, this is a video that's aimed at micro-stakes players and not advanced players. We can sort of like attack it from the premise of when we're making any raise, we should be doing it for one or two reasons ideally, until we become a much more deep poker thinker. We should be trying to limit our 3-bets and our raises pre and post flop to either being value bets or bluffs. And I think when we 3-bet ace 10 versus a button open, I don't think this really serves too well as either. Are people going to fold better hands very often than ace 10? Not too often, I wouldn't have thought. Maybe we can get people to fold some small pairs. We have decent equity against those. Are people going to call with worse? Yeah, probably are some of the time, but are we going to realise our equity very often? With a hand like ace 10 off, if we get called by king queen, jack queen suited, those type of things, I still think the button, if he calls in his position, will either play if they call in that position on us. They're going to be quite a big advantage to us, because they're going to have hands that flop well. They're going to know what the hand looks like on various boards, and we're kind of going to be in the dark or other positions. So coming in from a micro stakes player's point of view, who's hoping to just get the basics right, I'm not sure this 3-bet. I think it's probably fine, but I'm not a huge fan of it. So let's see how it plays out from here and go from there. So here we flop the ace. Now the question is, do we bet or do we check? If we bet, it's not that hard to put on the ace and play pretty well against us. So if we bet, it's going to be hard to get someone to call with the worst hand. If we check, we end up getting in the realms of, do we really want to start bluff catching when there's a lot of money behind in micro-stakes games where people aren't bluffing very often? And this is kind of the problem I have with a hand like ace 10. If we had ace king here, or ace queen suited or something like that, I think we could comfortably bet for value. Ace 10, it starts getting just a bit sketchy, because people will call ace queen, people will call ace jack pre-flop. Some people may even call ace king. So we're going to struggle to get value. If we bet here, I just don't see how much value we're going to get. So I would probably start by checking. But, having said that, I don't really want to be check calling down 3 streets either. So yeah, we check call here, we check again. If this guy bets, I think we probably have to fold. But this again highlights why 3-betting the ace 10 in the first place is fraught with a little bit of danger. Yeah, of course, we don't expect to pick up cold callers. But yeah, in games where people's ranges are going to be quite narrow, because yeah, it's micro-stakes poker, people's ranges for cold calling 3-bets. You know, people aren't going to be doing it too light, because it's just micro-stakes, and people aren't making any big aggressive plays. They're not really, they're respecting 3-bets probably just a little bit too much. And yeah, I don't want to push the point too much, but ace 10 offsuit, it's a bit too much. for me for a 3-bet. I prefer to. I don't know what I'm doing with a 3-bet. A 3-bet is a bluff or 3-bet for value. The ace tends too much in the middle of that and gives us too many problems post flop. This video has been submitted by Reddit user Iluri. I'm not sure if I'm butchering his name there. ILURI. I've had no contact with him before today, or at least I don't recall having any. But thanks to him for getting a video to me so quickly. And hopefully he'll get something from the review, even if it's to think, wow, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Hopefully he'll get something from it. It's just seem quite quick right now, but it's still hopefully going to be fit for purpose because we do want to try and get through as much of the video as we can. Presume it's going to be around an hour long with the stopping in between bits. Yeah, we might not get through it all, so I'm sorry if we don't need it. Table 2, we flopped a set and we elect to just check call on quite a dry board. I have no issue with that. I won't check again here because the ace is such a good bluff card, which he has done. And there's a pause here. We have table 2 issues going at once. Now we have table 1, where we see bet the open and straight draw, and we got called. And then now we picked up a flush draw too. So we've picked up quite a significant amount of pot equity, but I don't think it's any fold equity. So it's whether we decide to now go for the triple barrel, which I think we're going to need to do. If we fire the second barrel here, I don't think it's going to be profitable enough without firing the third. So here's where we have to decide, I think, whether we're going to take our free card and try and hit one of our 15 outs, or do we just decide to triple barrel off here by making, say, another small bet of around 70 cents and then dropping a river bomb if we break. I probably would take my free card, just because even though we pick up decent pot equity, I don't think we pick up any fold equity at all on that card, so I don't think we're going to get many folds. So if we're going to semi-bluff, kind of quite a big part of semi-bluffing is hoping we will fold. If we're not going to get the folds, there's not really much point in making the bet, so I would definitely take the free card here. On table 1 or on table 2, I would check, and then I would probably check raise on the ace, because some draws have developed. There's a good chance he could have an ace, he could have 2 pairs. I think we can definitely get some good value with the 3 5s. And yeah, so I would definitely check raise to turn, and I would check back on table 1. Let's see what either he does. So on table 2, when he's checked back at the turn, he's going to be giving up quite a lot here, or he's going to have some kind of marginal showdown value hand. I don't think he's ever going to have a really strong hand, because I think he would have definitely bet the turn if he had a hand as strong as ace king or ace queen maybe. So he does have an ace. I think he'll have quite a weak one. So I would lead out on table 1 now, probably just for around maybe 110 or something like that. Just try and give someone a 3-1 on a call and hopefully find a call with something. Hillary's going for the double barrel on table 2, which I'm not a huge fan of. I think we have to empty the clip. We have to fire this third barrel. If we don't, we're really not making a very. It makes our turn barrel really profitable if we're not going to fire the river, particularly on the ace, which we can credibly represent still. When the guy checks the third time, I think he's going to have King X at the very best. Usually maybe a Jack X, some better draws than those that are bricked. And this is what I was talking about earlier. If we don't fire the third barrel, particularly on such a good bluffing card, I really don't think the second barrel is that profitable. So yeah, I mean, if we are going to check back here, I think we're making a mistake by firing the turn. I don't disagree with checking back necessarily. If we hadn't fired the turn, just giving up with our draw bricks. But yeah, when we fire the second bet, we kind of have to fire the third when we know once we get into a plus situation, I think we have to see it through. Otherwise, don't fire the turn. And I think this bet is maybe just a little bit too big over here. But yeah, it might get called. If he's checked back an ace, it's going to call almost certainly. Yeah, the queen king there. I think we got a shot of making him fold the queen king if we had fired 3 streets. but we'll never know. And we did get called on. Right tail by ace queen. Surprising check back with the ace queen there, but good bet by Eldry on the river. On table 1 we have 2 queens. And table 2 we face a 3 bet with it. We face a squeeze with ace 10 suited. Let's just see what would I do here. Well, knowing nothing about the player, it's kind of difficult, but I'll probably just call. I think if we were unsuited, I wouldn't call. But we have 40% of a royal flush draw. So yeah, I certainly wouldn't be in a mood to fold it. Although I would be very cautious post flop, but I certainly wouldn't fold pre. I don't think we're going to be in great shape, but I don't think we can be in terrible shape with a strong suited ace and position. On table 1, I'm presuming we're just going to keep betting, and I would probably bet fold. I'd probably bet maybe 170, 180 and fold to a raise. On table 1. Yeah, we folded the ace 10 suited. I don't hate the fold. I probably would have peeled, but I don't hate it. I don't really like the check on table 1 there. I think there's just way too much value we can still get. So, no, I mean, unless I've missed some of the action. If we've seen at the flop and then just checked the brick turn, I think we should have bet. And now we're in a situation where it's going to start bluff catching, which I think is not a terrible line. But I would rather just go bet. I mean, I think we have to call here. Our hand is pretty underrepped. He can have 2 jacks, he can have just ace 10, he can have some bluffs. I think we beat too much to fold here. But we do get the fold, which is quite surprising. That's kind of the issue. We underrep our hand and then end up folding it. It's not. I don't think it's too great. Sorry, Hillary, I don't mean to be offensive, and I could have missed something on the playback. But if we did see him at the flop, and then just check call turn, check fold river, I'm not that in love with the line. Hillary looks like he was lining up for a call 4, but there didn't go for it. Can't say I blame him. One thing I would say about these 10 alligators on poker stars, they're taking no prisoners. I usually encourage people who come to me for coaching to not play on poker stars at the micro stakes. I think there's better options out there for you than playing on poker stars. I've got a long held belief that whatever stakes you're playing, if you're in a poker stars pool, you're probably in the toughest game in the world for that pool. I think if we're going to 3-table 10 and L, and we're in a country that allows us to play on 888 or on party poker or on iPoker even, I think all 3 are significantly better options than poker stars. For if you want to make money and progress through the limits, there will come a point where you have to go back to poker stars if you really progress to the mid stakes. But I see no real reason for playing on poker stars. The games are significantly tougher, without question. Let's just talk about this seat 2, because we've called a 3-bet out of position with 5-6 suited. I really, really, really do not like this player. We're just going to be dominated way too often, and by domination I don't mean if he's got ace king or something, because we're not dominated then. If he's 3-betting, reasonable pocket pairs, 5-6 suited is just in absolutely beyond miserable shape. I get that people think it's got good implied that we make our hand. I do understand that, but I just don't think we make a hand often enough to warrant calling 3 bets out of position with it. I would just fold the hand every single time. I think sometimes not only do we lose money just with the call, sometimes we can flop bits and pieces and convince ourselves to stay in the pot when we perhaps shouldn't. and that really hammers our implied odds. Then, as you say, for example, this flop had come down 6-4 deuce with one heart. We've convinced ourselves to check call at least one bet, and then probably check fold, end up check folding at some point during the hand, and all those expensive calls just massively eat into our implied odds when we do finally make a hand. So yeah, I think it's quite a poor call, and I don't mean to pat on you, Hillary, because I am grateful that you sent me the video, but I have to say I was here, and I think that call's really quite poor. To go back to my point about Poker Stars, I think if you're playing 100 or something like that, Poker Stars is as good a place as any. But when you're playing the lower micro stakes, I think there's way better options for you, particularly if you are a struggling or a losing player. I think Poker Stars is a really bad place for you to be playing. I would go as far to say that 10 on Poker Stars is probably tougher than 30 and L on 888, tougher than 25 and L on Party Poker for sure. And I would say it's probably comparable with 50 and L at least some of the time on both of those sites. People may laugh at me for that, but I just believe it's true. I see so much more aggression, 3-betting in these games. I just see better players constantly. I'm not sure what happened with Hillary's video there, but we move on. On the Jack King board against some guy who's got almost no money, I think it's pretty much just a bet. But I can get it in a situation. And I'm pretty fine with the give up here. I don't think that's a great support to run some bluffs on. And if we're going to win a showdown like that, well, great. Quite surprised that he didn't bluff at some point with Jack 10 suited there. Quite surprised he just gave up, because our line wasn't particularly strong. I think our hands face up as a give up or a very weak bluff catcher. Here we go, we're 3-betting and ace 10 again. At least it's suited this time, but I'm just not convinced. I'm really not. I mean, I am open to people to tell me otherwise, but I'm not that fond of going that far into depolarization for a 3-bet range. I think we end up getting ourselves in a lot of pretty bad reverse implied odds situations. I'm much more inclined to just have a polarized range on a 3-bet than micro stakes, because I think people are certainly not. The calling with hands at higher stakes people would 4-bet with. I think people aren't necessarily auto 4-betting ace queen there, for example. I think they're auto 4-betting ace jack suited. I think we're going to get peeled a lot by better hands a lot of the time. So if we're 3-bet folding it, I think we're going to give ourselves quite a few problems. I'm fine with the 3-bet with the queens there for obvious reasons. Then we've got a guy who hasn't played 100 big blind stack on a site like Poker Stars. That almost certainly means that he isn't a hardcore regular. I'm trying to figure out how this Javaro works, but it's not making much sense to me right now. Although I have heard good things about it, so maybe it's a good piece of software and it's free, so who can argue with that? Another reasonably light 3-bet with the king queen. I'm not really sure what I think about it because I don't play on poker stars too often. I mean, I guess if people are folding a lot to 3-bets, it can't be too bad. And people have folded 2 out of our 3-bets. But I just think we play better as callers, particularly against wide ranges from steal positions. I think I'd much rather keep people's wide ranges in the pot rather than kind of force people to have stronger hands by 3-betting them. I'd rather play a hand like king queen or ace 10 against all of their button range, not just their button range, it's calling 3-bets. So yeah, I'm not going to touch that point much longer because I think I've made it enough in this video so far, but that's my take on it. I would rather call with hands like king queen, with hands like ace 10, than I would 3-bet them. I'm not sure we gain too much by 3-betting them at the microstakes. I think we should bet the queen 3 here for sure. We're making a big mistake if we check. There's too much value we can get, and we do go for the bet, which is good. And I didn't really catch the action on table 2e, so I may well rewind that back just because I didn't catch it. So what I may do actually is pause the recording for a moment and resume it now. What do we do this time? Again, we 3-bet the ace jack, and again, I'm not fond of it, but we've discussed that already, so I'm not going to milk it anymore. We c-bet, not a great board. That is not a great board for us to c-bet. We have, we have really 2 overcards when we're called. We're almost always going to be behind when we're called unless he has some kind of flush card like the queen jack of clubs or something like that. But even then, he's got such a ton of equity against us, and it's not like we're going to keep on barreling off. So I really, really do not like that barrel. So with that c-bet, it's just not a good board for us to c-bet. We should probably just be giving up at that point, or maybe check calling some small bets. Let's see what happens after this. I think we go check, and I think we check fold the river on the ace, which again I'm not that fond of. When it's calling range on the flop. Wait, let's have a look what we think his calling range on the flop looks like. He's probably not peeling ace x too often here. He may peel ace king, ace queen some of the time, but when he checks back the turn as well, I think he's going to have a hand like some kind of 1-pair type hand. 1-pair, some kind of draws, etc. And I think if we're checking this river, I think we should probably check calling it because our hand again is really direct. Second time in the video we've underrepped our hand and then check folded, which kind of isn't that good of a play. If we're going to fold this river, I'd probably rather go for something value and bet than just check fold. I mean, what are we putting on here when it doesn't bet the turn? I mean, slow play full house. Sorry, slow play set that's turned to bottom. Don't think that's too likely. So really, if it's check fold here, we have to put him on a float with ace king or ace queen. They decided to check back versus our turn check. No, I'm not fond of it. I think I would probably just check call this river because, as I said, I don't like to under-rep my hand and then fold when I face some last minute aggression. So no, I'm not fond of the check fold here. I think I would have gone for the check call. But again, this problem sort of springs from pre-flop where we've now bloated a pot with a marginal hand and then end up folding it on the river when we actually get there. And you can see Hillary is kind of not really sure what to do. His cursor's hovering around a bit. You can tell he's a little bit confused in the situation. And yeah, we just find the folding in there. Don't particularly like. This is the hands I'd probably prefer to 3-bet. I like that 3-bet much more. The king 6 suited on table 1. You know, we know what we're going to do on a bunch of flops. We know we're bluffing. We kind of, the bet has a purpose. It's clearly made to bluff. You know, we can get some ace highs to fold here. We can get some better kings to fold. Maybe get some pocket pairs to fold. I much prefer this 3-bet than I do. This is my favourite 3-bet so far of the session in terms of light or lighter 3-bets. It's really easy. We get 4-bet. We have a trivial fold. We can flop some draws. We can stop the king and have the best hand. So yeah, I much prefer this 3-bet. And I apologise, I may have missed a big hand going on with the Queen 3 at the end there. I didn't realise what happened on the river because my attention was drawn to the Ace Jack on table 2. So if I have missed something there, I apologise, Hilary. And if you share the hand history, I will certainly add some more comments to it. I think 3 tables reviewing at 2x speed possibly wasn't my greatest idea ever, but hopefully we can get some feedback on this video, how it's gone down with people, with the speed of it, with how we paused to discuss things, and hopefully we can improve, because I do plan on making a series of this, so hopefully I'll improve as time goes by on producing some good videos. Right, so we've squeezed the 2 queens here, which I think is a fine squeeze. We've got a really good flop for our hand. At this point I would just be looking to bet, and if I got raised, I don't think I'd be folding. I would expect to see plenty of, well, not plenty of sets, that's a bit too extreme. I wouldn't expect to see a set of 2s that often, nor a set of 5s. But you know, I think people can just overplay hands like 10s and jacks here. They can have some draws. Yeah, we're not going to be in love with it if we get check raised, but I'm not really in the business of going around advocating check folding over pairs in squeeze pots when we've, probably by the time we've fired our c-bet, we're going to put at least, we're getting on for maybe 35% of our stacking. So yeah, I would just c-bet here. And I wouldn't make it too small either. There's no need to balance in this situation. When we squeeze and c-bet here, we're not going to have too many bluffs, so I would have no issue making this at least $1.80, maybe $2, something like that. And I wouldn't be folding. And I think that bet is way too small. Of course, we can still get all in, I accept that. But I don't really understand the purpose of such a small bet. I mean, we might end up reducing a little bit of spews, I mean, who knows? So some players may see the small bet and attack it. But I really don't see what the difference between betting 120 and 180, 190 is here. If he's going to check call, if he's got a hand as check call, say he does have 2 8s or 2 10s or 2 jacks or something like that, maybe some kind of 9x and 10-9 suited, something like that. If you're going to check call 120, he's probably going to check call 182. I know a lot of people do this now. They make the small c-bet in 3-bet pots. I understand why at higher stakes, when we're going to balance against pillars, we're going to play against frequently. But I just don't think we need to balance here at 10-0. If we do, we're in the wrong sort of games. If we need to be balancing here, so I would just bet bigger. I would just bet bigger for sure. You say, for example, now if we had bet bigger on the flop, if we'd bet an extra, say, 90 cents, there would be an extra $1.80 in the pot. So we'd be getting up to like $6.85 in the pot. We'd only have 680 something in our stack, 670, and we could just shove the turn. And instead, now we've got pretty awkward stack to pot ratio. And it looks like we may be checking back here, which again I think is going to be another mistake. I think I would definitely just empty the clip here. I would just bet. I would maybe not shove, and maybe just bet $3 and call it off. I think checking back here, especially on the card there, we can get lots of value from still. Yeah, I think checking back's going to be a mistake if we do. I hope we don't race here. It's not the best rivers. I think I will probably call again because again we've underrepped our hand. I think we have an issue with this Hillary. It's the third time now we've underrepped our hand on the turn or the flop or the turn, usually the turn, and then just not called the river. I understand. I mean, I really don't advocate paying off much of the micros, really don't. But I think that hand there with the queens, I think we got a lot of our problems stem from our flop sizing. So I think we just bet the flop a little bit bigger. We could just shove the turn. Instead, there, I think we may have ended up folding, not always folding the best hand, but either letting somebody get there, which I think they could easily have done, or encourage someone to bluff us. I think we're definitely pot controlling too much. I would have bet the turn there with this flush. We have the nut flush. I would obviously bet the turn. I think we are just pot controlling just a little bit too often. Not a big fan of it. I'd rather think we're pot controlling at the expense of bet folding, which is a problem. We just need to learn to bet fold with a little bit more confidence, I think. I'm presuming we're bet folding. Sorry, I'm presuming we're pot controlling because we don't want to face raises. If I'm wrong, I apologise, Hillary. But that's how it feels to me right now. Just going through a little dry spell at the moment, and we are racing through the video. I'm not sure how long this video is going to actually last for. It looks like we've got maybe another 15 minutes in real time, which is another 7 minutes in our time of double speed. So hopefully we'll get a couple more spots where we can pause and discuss. I do like my videos to last around 40 to 45 minutes. So we have table 2, we have 2 kings. I presume we're just going to make a pretty standard c-bet. And again, I wouldn't be making it much less than at least $1.20 here. This board is a little bit drier. So it's going to be a bit harder to get caught by worse. The last board was had a few more draws on it. But I wouldn't be willing to go any lower than 120. I'd be 120, 130 here for sure. I think $1, if that's what we settle on, is going to be too small. I mean, it's not, it can't be terrible. But I just think it's just a little bit too small. I think if they're going to call $1, they're going to call 130. And we should always try to bet as much as we think people will call when we're betting for value. 115, I'm fine with that. I hope we don't check the turn. I don't think we're going to this time. But we need to think about that bet sizing here is what's going to give us set up a really easy river shove. If we bet 195 here, what's that going to do to the pot? It's going to put, if he calls, put around $8 in the pot. And we're still going to have $9 left. So if we bet 195 here, we're going to be overbetting the river. We don't particularly want to be overbetting the river. So I will be betting here at least maybe 270, 260, 270, just so when we want to shove the river, it's not going to be an overbet. I think 195 is going to be too small. It's not going to set the river up correctly for us. So we need to be betting bigger than 195 here. And we do. Good. I'm glad about that. I'm pleased. Good to see. And now I think the river is just a standard shove. And we played that one well. And like the call there, he toyed with the idea of 3-betting. I'm pretty comfortable with the call. So let's talk about this river before we see what happens. This guy c-bet the flop. he's c-bet the turn, and then he's checked the river. I think his range is pretty much capped here. To being like king queen, maybe there's ace queen too. I just don't think we're going to be behind very often at all here. I think if he had a value hand, he would have definitely bet the river. I think if we are behind, we're going to be behind to maybe a hand like, can you have queen 10 suited? Maybe. What could it be? Queen 10 hearts. Queen 10 diamonds. There's two combos of queen 10 suited that may play this way. Queen 9, I don't think he'll have that too often if he's got a decent middle position opening range. I don't think he'd check a flush on the river. I don't think he'd check a set on the river. So, yeah, it'd be unusual if we beat here. So I would definitely value bet this river. I think checking back's too weak. So I'm not sure what we do. But obviously I haven't seen the video, but I would definitely bet here. And I would probably bet somewhere around about $2. Just try and get calls some king queen. Maybe some queen jack if he's got that too. Yeah, that's how I would definitely play it. Just bet $2. And he did have a set. Well, blow me down. I wouldn't have thought somebody would have checked a set on the river there. So that is unlucky, Larry. I would have lost slightly more than you because I would have bet more. I think we'll probably see about this flop on him with the ace queen. I think it's really dry, but fair enough, I accept we're up against two opponents, but without enough showdown value to start checking, I think I would just have bet. King XX dry, it figures to have hit us. So on table 3 here, I think, let me just rewind it back just slightly, because I think we've called a 3-bet with king queen suited, which obviously I'm going to be fine with. We can just take it back a little bit, can we? Not sure I might have gone back too far now. I think I have gone back too far, but we'll get there in a moment. Sorry about this. I may have gone back a little bit too far. Just watch it through. Yeah, here we go. We've opened, we've been 3-bet by someone who's presuming he's got a single figure number of hands, so he's an unknown. I have absolutely no issue at all with the call there. So what are we going to do on this flop? If you see bet here, I think we can make a very good case for just making a bluff raise and getting in. Even if we are up against the top of his range, say he does have two aces or two kings or something like that here, we still have a good 35% equity, 35, 38% equity against him. And that's against the top of his range. We're going to have a big bunch of fold equity against his overcards that he's going to just, maybe sometimes fire a c-bet with. So I would definitely go, if you'd c-bet here, I would definitely go with a raise. And I would make it a big raise too. I wouldn't make it too small, because we are hoping to put pressure on somebody and make them fold. If he checks, I would just start betting, and again, I wouldn't be of a mind to fold. But I would rather see us raise a bet than face a check raise for sure. Because I think we'd have way more fold equity this way around. If we face a check raise and then we shove, we're probably not going to get too many folds, so therefore we're reliant on winning the pot too often. Whereas when someone c-bets and we raise, we have a way more chance of getting folds, which is we'd like to have a few folds here. Even though we do have decent equity when we get it in, we'd still like to have a few folds. We've got a bit more profitability to the bet, to the raise. So we have c-bet. No, I don't like the call very much. I mean, I think we could definitely start bluffing now. I don't like the check either. I mean, what do we think his range looks like here? Fair enough, we river the nuts or the virtual nuts. But he's just stabbed the flop. He's just checked the turn. I mean, I don't think we're going to showdown value. I think he's going to have ace high quite a lot here. I don't think we can take king queen to showdown and win too often. So I'd rather just bluff. I'd rather just bluff, take him off his ace highs, rely on the fact that if he does call, if he has got a hand that's bluff catching with, we are going to get there sometimes on the river that we have here. I think we could have c-bet the turn there. Sorry, not c-bet the turn. I think we would have bet the turn. Even if we check called and we breaked, then we could just happily check back the river and just give up. I think our turn play, Hillary, needs quite a bit of work. It seems you're too scared of turn raises, and turn raises are quite rare. It looks to me like you're a little bit too scared of getting raised on the turn with your medium strength hands. I think we need to definitely start working more on finding a bet fold or a bet in this situation, a bet something else. Which if we're going to win the pot here, how much we're going to bet? I would bet quite big because I think his range is pretty elastic. If he's going to call 245, he's probably going to call maybe $3. But no, I think we should definitely have raised the flop there, and if not raised the flop, we have to bet the turn when he checks because he's not got too strong of a hand when he checks the turn there on that kind of board. I'm sorry if it feels like I've kind of panned on you a little bit here. I don't mean to sound ungrateful because you have been kind enough to submit a video to me, but I wouldn't be doing myself justice if I didn't say I was sorry. I'm not saying the things I've said are necessarily right, and I'm sure some people would take issue with some of the things I've said, but I owe it to you, I owe it to myself to at least give my own honest appraisal of what's happened. And well, I don't think you played really badly. I think you have played quite poorly in some spots where you've just lacked some aggression. I think you maybe just a little bit too passive, a little bit too weak. And I think you've ended up maybe check folding some spots where we could certainly have profitable calls and just missing spots to make good bluffs. Of course, if you would like to work with me, you know how to get in touch with me, and we can certainly do some live sweats. You're currently playing 10NL, so it would just be $25 for 1 hour of sweat, which I think would be fun for both of us. That goes to anybody out there who's watching this video. If you're a 10NL player, I charge $25 per hour. For coaching sessions, if you are lower than 10NL, it's $20, and if you are higher than 25NL, it is $30. So please do get in touch if you think you would like to have me review your sessions in one-on-one rather than doing like a video for YouTube. If you'd actually like to have your play reviewed in this way by me, those are my rates. I hope we don't check back this time. We just check how this action's gone because we've been c-bet there. Did we get donked into? So we've 3-bet the kings. He's checked. Right, so we've c-bet. He's donked into us on this turn. I think I would just shove here. I think we're going to get called by worse a lot of the time. I think it's a really quite an easy shove. I don't like the call too much. I mean, the call can be okay. We're planning on calling down, but I think there's just lots and lots of bad rivers on that board. There's 7, 4, 5. And there's just loads of rivers where we're going to end up folding if he shows. I think any 3, any 6, any heart, any 8. Maybe any 9 possibly. There's lots and lots and lots of bad cards, and we can just get so much value by shoving there. I think I would have absolutely just shoved the turn. And now if he bets, we're going to call. I hope. If he checks, I hope we're going to shove. I think checking back if he checks will be too weak again. There's another hand, the ace 5. I'd be happy to 3-bet this. But again, I think it's kind of how we're more than happy to fall to a 4-bet. We block some of his 4-bet in range, and we can flop hands like this. We can flop some good draws. So I'm happy with this ace-5 3-bet. Right, so we've been check raised. What do we think's happening here when we get check raised on this board? Let's look at the guy's range. Would he check raise? 7's full here. Seems pretty unlikely to me. Would he check raise a 10? Again, seems quite unlikely. This raise to me looks a little bit bullshitty. It could also be he's got jacks or queens or something like that. But I think we get enough folds here, and I think I would just shove in here. If he has 7's full, well, so be it. I don't think we can. Well, we can call. Clearly, we can call because we've got the nut flush draw. But I don't think it's anywhere near the best line. I think we're in a shove or fold spot here, and I don't particularly want to fold because I think he can have some hands like pocket 8s here, pocket 9s that you might be doing this with and just fold to our shove, which is obviously a fantastic result for us. He can have some worse draws too. He can maybe have some worse flush draws. He's going to call it off with a fantastic result for us. So yeah, I would definitely just shove here, and I wouldn't feel too bad about it because I just don't think he's going to have trips or a full house very often. So I think we're going to be doing okay when we get it in most of the time, and we're going to get a lot of folds too. So yeah, I would definitely shove here. Okay, that's what we're going to do. And we just go for the call, which I'm not overly fond of, because what are we going to do if he barrels here? Just going to call him, we're just going to check fold the river if we miss, I guess. Right, so can we bluff here? Is he going to fold a full house? I don't think he is. I think as played, I would just give up here. I mean, we're going to be shoving. He's going to be getting 3-1 on a call. I don't think we're going to get enough folds here if we shove, unless he's absolutely bluffing. But if he is on a stone cold bluff, we're beating lots of them. Fair enough, we're not beating some of his ace-high bluffs, but we're beating a lot of his bluffs. So I'm not really sure betting's going to be that great here. I don't think he's going to fold worse hands often enough. I mean, maybe we get him to fold down like 6s, pocket 4s, pocket 5s, maybe. But I don't think he's going to have them too often when he takes his line. So I would just check back here. And up here we've had a set. I'm not sure how the hands played out. But we'll see what happens on the river there. I mean, I hope we check back here. I think this bluff is a bit ambitious if we make it. Yeah, and that's it. I think if we shove the flop there, I think he folds ace queen all day. As played as we called it. I mean, he probably would have folded the river that hand if we jammed the river. I think he probably would have folded it, but again, I just think we've misplayed our hand. We've just been a little bit too weak at game. We flopped really well in the 3-bet pot, and we haven't had the courage to put people to the test. We've ended up losing, a reasonable size pot, losing 60 blinds. We're never really giving ourselves that much of a chance to win. So yeah, I mean, I think again there, and the flop is just not a standard shove, but I think it's a fine shove because he probably isn't check raising any kind of nutted hand there. So yeah, unfortunately, again, I don't think we covered ourselves in too much glory there. And I do feel, and I don't often swear in my videos, but I do feel like a bastard for really not having too many complimentary things to say about Hillary's play. But hopefully he will get quite a lot from it. I'm not the sort of guy who pulls my punches. I do pretty much say what I say. As I say, I might not always be right, but what I do give my honest opinion on things. I don't sugarcoat things. I don't pretend things are better than they are, just not to hurt people's feelings. When people are paying me to help them improve at poker, they're paying me for my honest opinion. They're not paying me to make them feel better. They're not paying me to put a plaster on things. They're paying me to give strong opinions and hopefully help them improve. So Hillary, you really do need to improve a little bit with the aggression, particularly when you have good equity. You need to be using your equity to bluff with sometimes. You need to be not scared of bet folding marginal hands where we can get value. So we're coming to the end of the video now, just about. Hopefully we may get one more spot, and we are here with the ace queen. We've got the 3-bet in position. I have no issue with that, and I have no issue if we just fold this flop, because we just haven't flopped at all well. Yeah, fine with that. So I think that the video is about to end now, and it has done. So thank you very much for submitting the video, Hilary. I'm sorry if you feel I haven't been too comprehensive at your play, but I do hope that you've got something from my comments. So thank you very much, and hopefully we'll be doing another one of these really soon. Thanks a lot. Bye for now.